Hi everybody. Been watching a lot of people building ponds and getting into this fantastic little bit of a hobby we have in our lives, and I've literally just coming out of what they call new pond syndrome, where build a new pond, put some water in it, add the fish start creating waste, nitrification cycle, and away you go. So I really wanted to post this because I've had a number of people on the channel asking questions about new pond syndrome. You know, my pond's been in for a month or two now. I'm seeing nitrite levels very high. What should I do? Ammonia levels are coming up. Should I reduce the feed? Should I increase the feed? Should I keep the pond empty of fish until things have sorted themselves out? Loads of different questions. So maybe this is a perfect opportunity to sort of pass my knowledge and my experience of what I've been through, you know, dealing with the new pond and the frustrations you go through with having a new pond and new pond syndrome. So I'm going to go through what experience I've gained over the last, what we're on now. I'm on month 11. I'm on month 11 now, so this pond is now 11 months old. So I'm going to go through what I have experienced and hopefully some of the mistakes I've made, and hopefully help others out there that are in the process of building a pond, or they've just finished it and they've just put the first fish in, and they're now starting to experience the nitrification cycle and the new pond syndrome. So I'll go through each stage, and then you can do with this information what you want. This is just basically what I have learned and my experience in this video. Okay, so where did my experience start? Got the pond finished, got the water in, got some fish in as soon as possible. Got to get your fish in as soon as possible, because these are the byproduct of the ammonia waste that they create, easy guys, that they create to start the nitrification cycle, and we'll take you through pond syndrome. So I did read on the internet when I was putting this thing together that some people reckon that you could just get the pond in, leave the pond for a few weeks, and then put the fish in. No, from my experience, you need to get them fish in, because they will start creating the waste that will create the ammonia and start the nitrification cycle. What you've got to remember with this hobby, and what I've always been told, is that you're a water keeper, not a fish keeper. You manage the fish and you look after the fish, but if you keep the water good, the fish will look after themselves. It's the environment you're creating for the fish which will keep the fish healthy and happy. So water's bad, you've got bad times with the fish. Keep your water good and the fish will look after themselves. So that's where it kind of starts from. Just one more thing I've just noticed. The orange floating around in shot. So yeah, I feed my fish oranges. Seem quite like it, to be honest. I suppose it's a good, nice bit of vitamin C for them. It gives them something else to play with in the pond. Ever seen one of my fish sneeze? Me neither. So while we're here, let's talk about feeding. Little and often I found was best, but then I was going off what the test kits were saying. So every day, test kit out, ammonia and nitrite, test for those two. If the ammonia or the nitrite was up, then drop your feed right off. You can't stop feeding, because that's creating what you've got to do. So you can't stop it, but you can reduce it right down to literally a little palmful of food, you know, a little bit of food, the palm of your hand, once a day. Just giving them enough food to be able to create waste. So little and often with the food, and you can play around with this, because your test kits will indicate where your levels of nitrification is. So if the levels are high, drop the food off. If they start dropping off, but only a little bit more. So, you know, you've got to kind of balance up, feed the fish, create nitrification cycle, overfeed the fish, nitrite, ammonia levels go up. So you've got to, it's a balancing act basically. Test kits, you've got to make sure you've got some decent test kits in. Get them from your local supplier. You're kind of flogging a dead horse if you don't know what's happening in your water. You don't know where your ammonia levels are, you don't know where your nitrite levels are. You can't react because they will change. They do change. You find that ammonia is the first thing that the fish create. As soon as you start feeding the fish, they'll start creating ammonia. Ammonia then changes to nitrite, and you've got to try to get it into the nitrate level and then deal with it after that. Your ammonia, most poisonous, then your nitrite, still quite poisonous, and both harmful to fish, whereas nitrate isn't so harmful. It's never brilliant to have it in your pond, but it's not as bad as having your ammonia and nitrites. So test kits, you've got to get some test kits in, and you've got to get them working for you. I would suggest, well, what I did was I tested most days or every other day, just so you can keep an eye, so you can react. So if, for example, your nitrite or your ammonia levels are quite high, you need to get some water changes done. 10%, 15%, whatever you kind of learn. I was doing sort of 10% changes, and this is where your water bill will start going up as well, because you're removing water out, you're putting other water back in. Test the water that you're putting in the pond as well. Test the water that's coming from your tap and going into your pond, because you could have levels of chemicals and nitrites or whatever in your tap water. So you've got to be aware of what you're putting it in. If you do, then you need to get a hold of some dechlorinating units. So ideally you need to get a hold of something that will remove some of the chlorine. I think they put chloramine in as well. I don't know how you're going to get rid of chloramine, I've never tried, but to get rid of other levels of stuff in the tap water. I bought one of these. Like one side is a filter, and the other one is carbon. So this was sort of, I don't know, £40, £30–40, maybe a bit more off eBay, and it's a double one, and this basically plugs in line, and then the water is better. And apparently these work better if you're not putting a lot of water through them. So if you're doing trickle in, trickle out, that's perfect. If you're blasting water in, then they're not as efficient. So you just need to keep that in mind as well. This is something I learned when I was doing it. So yeah, water testing, really important to make sure you're testing the water. So beneficial bacteria, that naturally occurs in your pond and your filter system, that changes your ammonia to nitrite and then your nitrite to nitrate. But this can be slow, and with brand new filters you don't have any basically in brand new filters. But you can help this along by buying beneficial bacteria and putting it into your filters. You can get this from most suppliers, so it goes into your filters to help aid and speed up the whole nitrification cycle. So let's have a look at those now. I tried a number of products. The one I got off my supplier, I think I mentioned these in the video, the clover leaf, absolute pearls. I've tried them a lot, they were quite good. I got hold of these, tried a different product, the Pure Pond Evolution Aqua stuff. These are the smaller balls. These products come in loads of different shapes and sizes. You get the bottles of liquid. You find that a lot of new pond builders, the professional guys who build them and put them in, they'll put the liquid stuff in. If you go online, you'll see them. They just get the pour thing and they pour in the beneficial bacteria into the media. Which I think, if you look at videos, but this is the little ball, whatever, K1s. I remember this time, K1s. Didn't have a look over there this time. So yeah, sorry. So there, they pour in the beneficial bacteria into the brand new filter, and that gives it that little boost to start making it. And then you can top up with things like this, and you know, I like to put these in whenever I've played around and been moving water around, or been cleaning, or whatever, aware of sort of used water. I don't like to use the word waste, because I don't say that too loud, because I get moaned at for bills. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. So yeah, additives, you know, additives will help. The thing is, I've spent maybe £100-ish on additives, because I was just adding them and adding them and adding them, and that's just me, Mr. Impatient again, Impatient Andy. There's no need to be adding so many additives. Add them, but there's no need to overdo it, because you've got to be patient with this thing. This is nature's nitrification cycle. that you're playing around with and you're waiting to get sussed. So, you know, I'll mention this a few times. I hadn't got a lot of patience with this, and I've learned over the time I've been doing this. You've got to be patient, because a lot of this is down to Mother Nature. So additives, that's, you know, add some additives in, that would speed things up. So where do you put the additives? I sort of played around with this a lot. I put them in the vortex. Apparently, if you look on the back of the package, it says you can just dump them in the pond, and they'll just dissolve and go through your bottom drain and in through your filter system. But I was a bit cautious about the fish gulping them down, especially the little ball ones you can get out of sort of these tubs. I didn't really want the fish gulping them down. I don't know whether it does them any harm or not, but I didn't want that. So I mainly put mine in the filters. These are the top-up ones, not the fluid. Obviously the liquid you do put straight into your media. So with my system, I put these balls in my system underneath the brushes. So the theory there is out of vortex, under brushes, up through jack matting that we can see bubbling away with now my 3 air stones. That's working well still. Up through there, then down through the sponge stuff, and then up through the oh, I forgot the names again. The little black things, the little black tube things in there. So my theory was, if I put them in with the brushes, okay, so at the bottom of the brushes, that's where all the rubbish collects. It's drawn up through the jack matting. That was because at first I was putting them on top of the jack matting, but then it would just go wandering across, and then I wake up next morning and find them in the sponge. So I ended up going underneath there, and that's where I've been putting them ever since. And that seems to have worked for me. Whether that's the right place, you want to comment below. Every day's a school day. Comment is good, and we're getting loads of comments on this site. You know, a lot of these stuff that I'm doing on here, I'm inspired by you people firing stuff back at me. So fire it back. I have no problem with that. I'm like a big sponge at the moment. You know, learning, which is great. So going back, so yeah, so I put mine under those brushes, and it goes up. So you've got to kind of think to yourself, in there, where is it going to go through to rest and then become beneficial bacteria? Water replacement. I've got myself a little system here, got a little trickle in, trickle out system. Guys, I'm trying to do a video here, please. What's the limelight? Water changes, yeah, essential. Trickle in, trickle out. This is what I've set up on my system. Unfortunately, when I made mine, do you mind? I'm trying to do a video. I've got a little pipe that I've connected into the corner of my pond that allows me to have a continual feed into the pond to change the water, because as soon as you've got that the ammonia and the nitrites, if those levels start coming up, you've got to get your water changed. So I sort of had mine a 10% change, I said earlier, drop the level, and then replace with some fresh levels. Again, doing it through the dechlorinator, so I knew that the water I was putting in was better water than just straight from the water people, because you'll find that the water companies put loads of chemicals and stuff in. Okay, something else worth mentioning as well that I've done a video on is clay, addition of clay. Now I found that this really helped with my beneficial bacteria. It's something I wish I'd have seen earlier. I wish I'd have picked it up on earlier, but I didn't. So I found that really helped. Now how soon you're supposed to put that in is another question. I don't see why not you put it in straight away and start, as soon as your fish are in and they settle down a little bit, start putting your clay in. I don't see why not, to be honest, because you can't overdose on it. But I don't know, I've not tested that theory. It is an interesting one though, but I have definitely found that my beneficial bacteria, my nitrite level dropped right off and leveled out once I started putting clay in, which is an interesting one. There's a lot of people out there that have sort of said, clay, it's a bit of a rip-off. I'm kind of seeing lots of benefits from it myself. I'm going to do an update video. I'm going to give it another couple of weeks because it'll be in well over a month then. It may even be 2 months by the time I do the video, so I want to give it plenty of time. You know, I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but I'm going to be doing an updated video on FOC. Yeah, that stuff. And I'm going to do an update on that. So yeah, I have found that clay benefited what I was trying to do with my nitrification cycle. So go for clay. Maybe that helps. So, as I said, the nitrification cycle is put fish in pond, fish create waste creates ammonia, a nitrification cycle kicks in, and then that turns to nitrite, and that eventually turns to nitrate. So I thought I'd just do a quick illustration, because this always helps me just to understand what it is. So this is point A. This is fresh pond, fish just gone in. Fish start eating, fish start creating ammonia. Ammonia levels start going up, and you see it getting more and more and more. It'll suddenly peak when your nitrification cycle kicks in, and it'll start dropping off. At around about here is when your nitrite level starts kicking in. So you kick it in, and they'll cross somewhere here. So as that's going down, that's going up. So that's where you'll see ammonia and nitrite in the same levels. So as your nitrite level starts going up, your ammonia continues to pull down as your nitrification cycle continues. That will then peak, and then your nitrite starts dropping off as your beneficial bacteria kicks in and starts turning it into nitrate. As that's kicking off, nitrate then starts. You'll start seeing levels of nitrate and nitrite, and they both cross again as your nitrate level goes up, and eventually your nitrite level will drop off. Then your nitrate level will peak, and that'll start dropping off. But this is where I am at the moment with mine, because my nitrate level is kind of staying there. But again, these two and these two are the most dangerous to your fish. So you've got to try to get through the cycle to get these done. So that's how I kind of understood it. I saw that illustration in a book that I managed to borrow off somebody and had a look, and I kind of understood then what I was looking at. So that's your nitrification cycle. So this is where the patient things come in, because I felt like I was for months and months hovering on nitrate and nitrite. Nitrite wasn't going away. Nitrate was peaking, as well as nitrite was not actually, it was just hovering, just going along and wouldn't drop. And the reason for that on mine, I believe, was I had to put some treatments in the pond. So I had 3 instances where I had parasites in the pond, and that stuff doesn't help, because as soon as you start putting potassium permanganate, fluke solve or fluke M, whatever, all these different treatments you get, it does knock your filters back, which means that the amount of beneficial bacteria you're building all of a sudden gets knocked back, because it can kill off beneficial bacteria. So you kind of feel like you're back at square one. You're kind of so close. I think I made a video that starts off just when I thought things were going well. If you look back on that one, I was so close. I actually had blue. I had 0 nitrite, and then found the fish flashing one day, and I had to treat them with potassium permanganate, the PP, and that knocked the filter right back again. So I was another month back. So that's so frustrating when you got to do that, but you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to take things take that on the chin. I took it on the chin 3 times, and I'm kind of hoping these guys stay nice and free of stuff like that. So yeah, that can knock the filters back. So there you go. That's everything that I know about new pond syndrome and what I've been through over the last sort of 11 months since the pond was born. If you've liked the video, please click your thumbs up. If you're not subscribed yet, again, I get it always wrong. Is it there? Is it there? I don't really know, but it's down there somewhere. Press the subscribe button. Click the bing for the notifications. Good luck. Be patient. It's Mother Nature, has to sort itself out. If you can help her along with the additives and the water changes, then, and the test kits and everything else that I've described earlier in the video, then great. But just patience. It'll happen. It'll work through, and it'll come out the other end. You just got to wait. Okay. Thanks for watching the video.